Hi everyone, welcome to another video. In this video we shall be talking about thesis statements. So to get started, let's talk about the purpose behind a thesis statement. So one of my theories of writing is that a lot of writing is just organizing your ideas in a way that makes sense for you and for your readers. So having a thesis statement serves this very important function in terms of organizing what otherwise looks like a disorganized mass of random information. So you might have facts, opinions, main points, and they're all over the place, right? Having a thesis or an overall opinion that sort of like organizes everything around its orbit is really helpful for yourself and for readers, and it has some benefits. So for you, having that plan of action, having that this is my central main point, and from everything from there is going to relate to that main point. It helps you plan your essay, helps you organize your thoughts, and it helps you unify your ideas together. For your readers like myself and other people who read your writing, it helps us identify what you're writing about so we don't feel lost. So it gives us a roadmap to help us move along. So a definition. A thesis statement is a one-sentence summary. Sometimes it can be 2 sentences, but you want to keep it short and succinct. That way readers can remember it along the way. And in this summary, you're summarizing your overall opinion or position on a specific topic that you are addressing in your essay. So that's a definition of a thesis statement. Let's break that down even further. What do I mean by your overall opinion on a topic? Well, basically, there are 3 essential components that I want you to take. And if anything, take these things from this video. So when it comes to a thesis, there are 3 ingredients. Think of like cooking something, right? These are essential ingredients. The first thing you need is a topic that you're writing about. So whatever you're writing about, it has to relate to some specific topic. The second thing you need is an opinion on that topic. That's like the most important part of your thesis. What is your opinion? What is your position on the specific topic that you're writing about? And the third thing that you'd want to ideally summarize in your thesis is your reasons or evidence to support that opinion. All of these 3 things are really essential to convey your overall opinion of a topic. Let's look at this in practice. And one of the ways that you can help readers identify your essential elements of a thesis is by using specific keywords that will help readers distinguish, oh, that's the topic, that's the opinion, and those are the reasons. So I have an example here, and I'm just going to go quickly and break down each element in this thesis statement. So the example is the United States anti-pollution efforts should focus on privately owned cars because it would allow most citizens to contribute to national efforts and care about the outcome. That is a very succinct thesis statement with all 3 elements. What we're going to do is just break it down. So let's try to find the topic. The topic is the United States anti-pollution efforts. Now notice that the topic is very specific. We're not just talking about pollution or pollution efforts in general. We are focused on the US's response to pollution efforts. That level of specificity in your topic is important to let readers know the specific topic that you're addressing. Now, how do we know the opinion? Well, we have to look for the key words that stand out here. So the key word here is should. It's one word, should. It should focus on this area. That's how we know that the writer wants us to focus on that specific area of the topic. And the reasons are pointed to us because of the word because. It's a transitional word that lets us know that, because of this, for these reasons, we should focus on that. Okay, now that we've talked about the purpose behind a thesis statement to organize your ideas for yourself and for your readers, as well as a summary of what a thesis statement is, which is a summary of your overall opinion on a topic and your reasons, let's talk about composing a working thesis. In other words, creating a thesis statement while we do research to help us organize our ideas in an organic way. Because the reality is, as you research a topic, as you write an essay, as you write your thoughts out, you are forming and developing your opinion. So it's helpful to have a plan and of action to go through it. So I'm going to present to you a 3-step method to work on creating a working thesis. And the key word here is working, meaning that you're working on this thesis, you're creating it, it's evolving as you do more research. So let's look over the steps. So the first step involves looking at the assignment prompt. This is so key. I think when it comes to a lot of students early on in their English careers, when they get an essay assignment, one of the first mistakes they make is not paying attention to what the prompt is asking them to write about. And so they'll end up writing about something else that's completely unrelated to the prompt. So I have a prompt that I use in my English classes, and this is essay 1. And, depending on the teacher that you have, sometimes finding the prompt might be a little challenging. So you always kind of want to look for it. Sometimes it can be under something called like task or prompt. There it is. But, sometimes it's somewhere in the essay assignment that you have, and you have to find where it is. So right here is a prompt, and you always want to start from this place, right? You always want to start from this specific question that you're being asked. Now, for the purposes of our discussion, I'm going to do an example of something that's a different prompt. So let's just say we are going to write an essay on the best way to eat potatoes. I know that's kind of like an arbitrary thing to focus on, but let's just use this as an example. Let's say we're writing an essay on this. So the first thing to do is identify our prompt. That's our prompt. That's our first step. Our second step, and this is a step that's probably going to take the majority of your time because it involves organizing as many notes as possible, is where you're going to outline those 3 essential elements of your thesis statement. And you can do this on a piece of paper, or you can do it on a Microsoft Word document on your computer or something like that. Now, as you work on this outline, and I'll break it down and I'll show you how to kind of work through this outline, you want to work recursively. That means you go back and forth, backwards and forwards through each of the elements, like your topic, your opinion, and your reasons and evidence. And you're adding on as much notes as you can in this section to basically outline your entire argument. So here is an order of sections for your outline that I feel is the most organic way to create an outline. So your first section should identify and clarify your topic, usually found in the prompt. So for our example, we're using the best way to eat potatoes. That's our prompt, right? That would be section 1. And that's it. We just keep it as that as our topic. Now, if you're writing an essay on something else like motivation, you would say motivation is your topic. And maybe you're adding growth mindsets. That's another thing that you would add to your topic. So you're focusing on those things. The second section is not your opinion, but it's actually your evidence and your reasons. So this is probably the longest section of your outline. So you're creating an outline that you're eventually going to condense into a thesis statement. So in this section, you're going to compile, you're going to take all the notes that you've gathered, all the reasons that really appeal to you in order to, that are influencing how you're feeling on a topic, right? You're going to look for patterns and connections that feel convincing for you in terms of a topic. So this is a very important section of your outline. And the third part, that comes after you've created an outline where you have identified your reasons and your evidence, and you've identified the topic. And you can start looking at those things and forming a working opinion of how that topic looks like. So let's break that down in our example of the best way to eat potatoes. As you see here, I have my sections written out in a Microsoft Word document. So section 1 is topic, section 2 is reasons and evidence, and section 3 is my position and opinion. Now, as I said, section 1 is pretty short. It's just basically identifying the topic of the prompt, what you're supposed to write about. Section 2 is going to be the longest section. So I'm going to start writing notes, and however you write notes in this section is completely up to you. You just want to compile things that you are finding, that you find convincing, that relate to the topic that you're writing about. And then we'll work through section 3. So I'm going to pause the video, and I'm going to take as much time as I need to think about how I feel about the best way to eat potatoes. And I'll show you and I'll describe and explain how I worked through section 2. Okay, so I took as much time as I needed to work on section 2. And, I just started thinking about the topic, and, you go in any direction that it's going to lead you to, right? So without doing too much research, I pinpointed 5 ways in which we can eat potatoes. And then I decided for this situation, and every situation is going to be different. Sometimes you might have quotes that you're going to add. Sometimes you're going to have summaries. Sometimes you're going to have specific readings or facts, statistics. But for my topic, this is what I decided to do. And I sort of broke it down into a table. So I made a table for myself, and I did the pros on one side and the cons on the other side. And so I'm going to pause the video again, and what I want you to do, so step 2, section 2 is the longest step, because you saw how much information I wrote before I got to my opinion. And as you do this, I really want you to take your time on section 2, your reasons and evidence. The more things you can include in this section, the stronger and more complete your argument is. So now that I've done this section and I have all my information, I'm going to go through the section and I'm going to highlight, using the highlight feature, things that really resonate with me in terms of like, that stood out to me, I agree with that, that feels true. So I'm going to pause the video again, and when I restart the video, you'll see what I've highlighted and what stood out to me. Okay, so I highlighted things that stood out to me, and by highlighting, and what I was basically doing is I was reviewing the notes that I'd taken, that I'd compiled and that I had organized in this section to see what really stood out to me. So as I was highlighting stuff, I noticed that, when it came to baked potatoes, it's fun to add toppings, but I can also do that with mashed potatoes. Same thing with roasted potatoes. You can season them with herbs, but I can also do that with mashed potatoes. They're great to pair in a meat dish. Well, so are fries, but also mashed potatoes are the same way. And then I started looking at the cons section, and I noticed for myself, I couldn't find any cons when it came to mashed potatoes. When it came to baked, fries, roasted, or chips, there were all cons that I could figure out. So doing this section for myself really helped me form an opinion on this topic, because now I feel more inclined to say that mashed potatoes are the best way to eat potatoes. Now, this is a debatable topic, right? You're looking at my list and you're probably thinking, I agree or I disagree, or I agree and I disagree to an extent. And that's another thing that's really important when it comes to writing a thesis. You want to have an opinion that's debatable, that not everybody is going to agree with you, right? Otherwise, it's not a real thesis. Like, for instance, no one wants you to write an essay on why you shouldn't touch fire. We already know why you shouldn't touch fire, right? There's no need to write an essay on that subject. So when it comes to thesis writing, you want to have an opinion that's debatable. So, some of you might disagree. You might think that fries are the best way to eat potatoes. So I'm going to work on this last section now, using what I have. And section 3 is where you start to compose a sentence, a summary, a one-sentence summary that encapsulates these ideas, this opinion of what you have on the topic. So I'm going to pause the video one more time. So as you can see, very simple sentence that I wrote for myself. Mashed potatoes are the best way to eat potatoes. From here, now that I've created this outline for myself, we can go into... Okay, so from here we can go into the third step. So in the third step, now that you've outlined the 3 elements of your thesis, your topic, your rationale, and your position, you're going to take all of that and you're going to compose a summary of your overall opinion on the topic. And the key thing in this part is to work towards a sentence and make it encapsulate keywords that identify those 3 elements in a way that your readers can find them. So I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with my example. So as you see here, you can pause this video whenever you want. I created a first rough draft of my thesis statement. And then I started tweaking how I wanted to present the wordings of my thesis and a second rough draft. Okay, I hope this video has been helpful. Thank you so much for